Hey everybody, and welcome. It's Jeff from Condé Systems, and first want to say Happy Veterans Day to all our veterans. Salute to our veterans. Thank you for what you've done. Great day, got a great presentation for you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to answer questions at the end of the presentation. So Sprite's going to do kind of a split screen thing. We'll answer some questions. But we just get started. So the focus of this, or the title of this, is Checking on Things with Jeff, Obtaining a Business License. So we're going to cover a whole lot more besides just the business license part. So first, a little introduction about me. So my name is Jeff Butler. Been fortunate enough to spend the past 20 years here at Condé Systems. In that time, met a lot of incredible people, customers, coworkers, you name it. I've seen a lot of growth and changes in the industry, and I predict it will continue to grow and provide an excellent add-on revenue stream to add to your current portfolio. So a lot of you took the journey with me back in 2013 when I made a video with David Gross, and I'm going to share my screen and show you that video. Was this one right here. So I was back out at the flea market back then, and I was showing you all my display cases. Business was great. We were talking about my setup. A lot of you people followed along and did the same thing, made a bunch of money, ran that operation. Personally, I ran that operation until about 2016, and man, I learned a lot during that time frame. And I tell you, one of the main things that I learned was that, make sure I'm not sharing, give me just a second, was that I wanted to be in a climate controlled area. I did not want to be out there in the elements because it was pretty rough. So, you know, for 8 hours a day, we started out, I was doing this. This is actually our first weekend out at the flea market. So this is where we started. We started in this little booth in pretty much a glorified lean-to. And we did pretty good. Didn't do great in the beginning, but we, you know, things panned out. We did the videos, we kept growing it and growing it and growing it. And so at the end of the day, what it amounted to was that 8 hours a day, 2 days a week, Saturdays and Sundays, I was a business owner. Made personalized cell phone cases on demand, on site. Used an SG 800 printer, a little tiny JP14 heat press, and that's what I did. So first year was fabulous. The money was incredible. Second year was equally as good. I diversified a little, added some products, raised prices, kept on trucking. Third year was okay. We started to build competition in other booths. There was other people coming out there doing the same thing. So naturally sales took a hit, but we kept on going. And then I even brought in my friend Sprite. Everybody knows Sprite. In that fourth year, she came in and kind of took over for me, and we kind of split it 50-50, and things just kind of, they continued, the competition continued. I think we both got burned out, and that was that. That was the end of it. So I, you know, doing all the trade shows, I would get asked, you know, whatever happened to that? And I kind of really didn't have an answer as to what really happened, other than, well, competition came in, it took all the business, and the business just kind of died. Well, that's not exactly what happened. Looking back now, I see exactly what happened and how I ran that golden goose into the ground. So today, I want to hope to help you from making the same mistakes that I made in your new business venture, because I made a bunch of them. And so let's learn from my mistakes, and let's see where this journey has led me. So here we are a few years later, and when, you know, in the title of the presentation, you see, you know, checking on things. So checking on things, I don't know if it's maybe a Southern thing, but I remember all the way from being a little kid, and I would hear these old timers either talking to my grandpa, talking to my dad, whatever, and they would talk about, what are you gonna do today? Well, I'm gonna go check on some things. So, and I never really understood, okay, what does check on things mean? And since, I just didn't know, checking on things. Oh, he must be doing whatever. So what I have learned now that I'm 49 years old and I'm kind of grown up is that checking on things in the old timer world generally means going to the gas station at the corner, getting a cup of coffee, standing around watching the working folks go to work, chatting them up. Then maybe after you do that, you go by the bank and you make a deposit, or just check on an account or whatever. And then maybe you go stop by one of your businesses that you got. You may have a laundromat, car wash, whatever, retail store, and you go in there and you show up and you check on that thing, and you pretty much just make sure everybody showed up for work today. Then maybe you go to lunch, then maybe take care of a couple other things, and then it usually probably ends with a nap in the afternoon, and that is what I have figured out. That's checking on things. So when I decided to take my business seriously, I set goals, and those goals are, that's what I want to do. I want to check on things. And what that means is I want to be a business owner. I don't want to be a business operator. I want to be a business owner. And so in order to get there, you've got to do some things, and we're going to walk through those real quick. So what I did was I kind of thought, that was my goal. I want to be a business owner. I want to just check on things. I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to do all their activities and functions, things along that line. Your goals may be, hey, I want a Lamborghini, or I want a vacation house, or I just want to be successful. I just want to make money, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's your goal. So where I'm at now, now is I have 2 retail stores in 2 different cities, and fortunate enough to be in some real high rent districts. And I do antiques, vintage, and gifts. So those gifts being sublimated items. I do mugs, koozies, coasters, an assortment of things as a supplement to that business, another revenue stream in that business. And it's turned out, here we are, we're in our we're coming up on 3 years. It has become very successful. And for the first time ever, I kind of feel like I'm close to being at my goal, which is to check on things. And so how I got there is I did this right here. So I'm going to take you step by step in the process of setting up your business for success and scalability. So I'm going to give these to you in the order that I feel like you need to do them in. So the first thing that we're going to do is, and I'm sure you've heard of this, is an EIN number, which is Employer Identification Number. It is something that is issued by the federal government, and it is here in this slide. I'm going to show you the application. So it's right here. This is where you get that number. And this is the first thing that you need to do. First thing, this is what I did. And an employee identification number doesn't mean you have employees. You don't have to have employees. You could be a sole proprietor, a partnership, corporation, an LLC, whatever. Fill this form out. It is free. It is your business social security number. All right. It is issued to you. It is unique to you. Again, it is your business social security number. That's the first thing you need to do, because you're going to need it later down the road as we move into step 2. Which step 2 is going to be, you got to pay taxes if you're going to be in business. So in my state of Alabama, there is a website. I'm sure there are websites in all your states where you set up a tax account. All right. Setting up that tax account allows you to pay your state, city, county taxes all in one shot every month. It's something you got to do. If you're going to be in business, you pay taxes. It is very easy. You will use your EIN number that you got back over here, that you filled out. You got your EIN. You'll use it as your number in this system instead of your social security number. And then number 3, you get to the business license application. And if you look at the business application with me, you'll see the first thing it asks for is that FEIN number. And then it asks for your state of Alabama tax number, or your state, whatever state yours is. Those 2 things right there held me up forever, because I'll tell you, back in the flea market days, I didn't have a business license. I didn't need one. They didn't require one out there. You just kind of went out there and you did your thing, and that was it. And so this, moving into these brick and mortar businesses, got to have a business license. So if you're in that, working out of your house and you're thinking about getting into a brick and mortar situation, you're going to have those 3 things. You need those 3 things. And what that does is it legitimizes you, and it puts you in the right mindset to be a business owner. That's what that's what you're doing. That's what you're here for, is to go into business, be a business owner. So one of the things with the business license is it's going to ask you, one thing is your projected open date. This is a mistake on my part that I made with the first brick and mortar that I did 3 years ago. I put a date of, I think it was October 1st, and come to find out, in my city, the business license is issued by the fire marshal. So it required an inspection. So I did all this work for months and months, and I got the building all together, and then the opening day came, and guess what? I had no business license, so I had to wait, and I'm calling. And finally, 3 weeks later, after my projected opening date that I put on the application, the fire marshal showed up. Well, he walked in with his clipboard and he looked around and he said, "You're going to have to replace all these sprinklers." That was a kick in the gut. All right. And it cost me $2,000 and another 2 weeks to get the doors open because of that right there, because I put my opening date too close on the business license. I didn't anticipate that. Your city may be different. I've got obtained 2 other business licenses from 2 other cities, and it did not work that way. It was much easier. Everything went really smooth. So setting the new businesses up, one of the different approaches that I took was I set them up as an LLC. So an LLC, you have the option to do that, either an LLC or a sole proprietorship. As a sole proprietorship, you're the owner, you report your income and losses on your personal income taxes, and that's it. The key benefit of an LLC versus the sole proprietorship is that your liability is limited to the amount of the investment in the LLC. Therefore, your debts in the business, they can't come after, creditors can't come after your car, your home, things like that. It adds that additional layer of protection. I've LLC'd both my stores individually and created an umbrella LLC for any other venture. And we've got one coming up, and we're going to talk about that too. And I think you guys are going to appreciate that, because it falls in line with what you're doing. So it, along with the LLC, along with the business license, the FEIN, once you're all set up, then you're going to go to the bank and you're going to set up a bank account, and you're going to set up a business bank account, because a business bank account, you are required to have those documents that we just talked about in order to open that account. You've got to separate your personal funds from your business funds. That is something we did not do at the flea market. It was a matter of, oh, we made this much money, and oh, it cost us this much to operate it. The rest of it's profit. We're going to keep it. It caused me problems because I was processing credit cards out there, caused my accountant major headaches, and it was just a bad scene altogether. So you've got to separate the funds. The way to separate the funds is by obtaining the business license, the proper paperwork, whether you're LLC, sole proprietor. I recommend the LLC, and then set that bank account up using that. And so in order to get all this done, this time I took it, I looked at things like LegalZoom and things like that. I have found personally that it is best to find an attorney that you can relate with, that you can be friends with. My attorney came in as a customer, great customer, became a great friend. He set our LLCs up. His standard rate, it was $400 a piece. So for $1,200, I had 3 of them done. Well worth it. I have him file all my documents and craft documents, such as agreements and partnerships and things like that. I cannot stress how important it is to have a legal presence in your business. The second thing would be an accountant. My accountant, same kind of thing, known him 20 years. Great guy. Takes care of, that's the guy that's doing your taxes. He's handling everything. He's the one you're dumping all the receipts on every year. An accountant. Your banker, when you set up that business account, you've got to form a relationship with that bank. That branch manager is going to want to talk to you. You're going to talk to them. You're going to build a relationship with them, and you'll notice from then on, when you walk into the bank to make a deposit or whatever it is, that branch manager is going to get up and speak to you. They're going to ask you, how are things going? Hey, here's some new products we have. Is there anything we can do for you? That is being a business customer in that bank. And so again, you're building and building and building this foundation to be a rock solid business, and doing it the right way. One of the other things I found that I really, really, value and can't stress enough, a mentor. I've got a guy that's been a customer of mine for 4 or 5 years, owns 7 or 8 restaurants in town. He's at a TV show. He's done all kinds of other cool things. And we talk every week for hours. And I can ask him anything. What do you think about this? I'm thinking about doing this. Da, 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 da. He tells me about his mistakes. He is my mentor in business. I can talk to him about any of these things, and he will help guide me in the right direction, and help me become a better business owner. What is your role as a business owner? Okay, your role as a business owner that I have learned is to study your profit and loss report and just maintain the business, hire the right team, put the right people in place, let them do their job. Those are some of the big steps that I took, that I never thought I would be taking. Had I not gone and built this foundation that we just talked about, I wouldn't be in this position. I now have 6 employees. I pay them better than Amazon, and they are loyal. I trust them with my life. I trust them with my money. And so I stay out of their way. I let them run the business. I show up in the middle of the night, make sure there's toilet paper in the bathroom and that there's inventory to sell. And that's about it. I stay out of their way. I'm studying my profit and loss report, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to make that also available for download. But it took me 4 years to build that team. And leading that team, I've learned that, hey, if I communicate with them clearly and concisely, they will do the job that I need them to do. I have a kind of a flow chart that I have in my head, and it's pretty much, are they running the business successfully? Yes. Leave them alone. Go check on things. If the answer is no, then I wasn't clear and concise in explaining what I need them to do, or where I want them to be, what I want them to do. And so that removes me from the equation to where I can go look at different revenue streams, additional revenue streams to add to the business. So I'm going to show you, speaking of the profit and loss report, this is another venture that we're looking at doing come January. and it is essentially a fulfillment operation for T-shirts. So I have a partner in Nashville that's become a very successful music executive, and one of the biggest problems in the music world up there is regarding artists is merchandise fulfillment. So these guys order 10,000 shirts to go on tour. 5,000 of them show up upside down. The other ones don't even have the logo at all, whatever. So he contacted me and he said, hey, man, do you think you can put this thing together? And let's try and do this fulfillment for these shirts. So we're going to be doing a combination of plastisol transfers. We're going to do 1 and 2 color, keep it really simple. And the first thing that I did was I sat down with this profit and loss projection and I started plugging in numbers. And you can see the numbers. These are, remember, I kind of got it made because he's going to be feeding me the orders from these artists because it's his label. But here is where everything comes together. This is what I do as a business owner now, as I study these for each of my businesses, and I look at these 3 things. You have revenue. So here's the projected revenue for January. Then you have cost of sales here, right here, and then you have expenses, and then you show a net profit. So after all of these things, your revenue, so we did $12,000. We project to do $12,000 in January. Cost of sales is going to be $63.33. After expenses, which are $34.15, that leaves us $2,918. You can't make a living on that, but you can add that to an additional portfolio of revenue streams. And so you can take it all the way down. You see here, I've added mugs. All right, that's another thing we're going to do. So I'm figuring on, conservatively, I think we can sell this many mugs. I think this is a case. I've got a key over here. Mugs are going to cost us $2. We're going to sell them at $7.50. All right, and so I project we can sell this many mugs. So I can come in here and do koozies now. I can do masks, keychains, whatever. And it's once I put these numbers in, it's always going to show me down here what my bottom line is. So at the end of the year, with conservative growth, we're looking at $67,000 in profit. Now, if I split that with my partner, that's 33.5 in profit. Again, not enough to make a living on, but it's adding those additional revenue streams to your business, and that's what a profit and loss statement will show you. If you take this statement here, I'm going to give you for download, and you take our cost analysis sheet, which we give out. You can call your sales rep and get that. You can take those numbers from the cost spreadsheet, plug them into this profit and loss sheet, and then you can really start to look at numbers and see where you're going to be, and is it feasible? Is that something you need to go into? But the key is to turn it into something that runs on its own, makes its own money, and is hands off, and it just becomes another revenue stream. And all of these things started because I took those initial steps to structure the business properly, which was obtaining my business license, obtaining an FEIN number, setting up that tax account, setting up the business account, just doing those things. It took a month and a half, 2 months to get it all done. But once it was done, man, I sleep great at night, and I know what is going on with my business. I don't necessarily know what's going on every day, the little small things or this or that, but I don't need to know those things. My focus and my strength is finding new revenue streams to add, whether it's adding to an existing business or adding another business to my portfolio of businesses. So it's just a formula. It's a process. If you trust the process, it will work. So that said, my call to action is to contact your sales rep, get that spreadsheet from them, the cost spreadsheet, then take those numbers, plug them into this profit and loss projection that I'm going to give you, and then you can begin to start looking at numbers and looking at is it viable to bring that product in? How should we price it? You can adjust the price, you can adjust all those different things. But it's just a great tool, and it all started with simply obtaining that license. One of the other things I forgot to mention is when you obtain that business license, you also get what is called a reseller certificate, which allows you to buy goods that you're going to resell tax-free. Tremendous. I mean, our tax is 10%. That's 10% right there that goes back into my bottom line. There are just so many benefits to structuring your business properly, obtaining everything that you need to obtain, and then getting into the mentality of being a business owner, bringing in the right people, letting them run the business, trusting them. If they're not the right people, move on. Or if they're not acting right, maybe you're not teaching them right, or you're not communicating correctly. But you'll never break free and be able to move on into other things if you're constantly looking at what's going on every day and you got your hands in everything. There's no way you're going to have the bandwidth or the mental capacity to go out and find additional revenue streams, much less sit down and actually put the numbers on paper and look at them and study them. It takes time to do that. You've got to make the time to do that. And if you're in the shop pressing shirts, or you're pressing coasters, or whatever it is you're doing it wrong, because that's not your strength. Your strength is running the business. Hire somebody to press the coasters for you. Take a hit on the bottom line and make that up in something else. Bring in another product line. Payroll is gonna cost you money. Well, replace it with something else and move on. You can't do that if you're tied to the business, and you can't focus on anything except operating the business. Be a business owner, not an operator. So again, call to action: get the spreadsheet. Get the spreadsheet from me. I'm going to provide it to all the sales reps in Sprite. It'll be available. I'm also have a list of resources that I'm going to put together, that I have put together, that I'll give you on any of the topics that we talked about. And I am available to answer any questions now. If anybody has any questions, we can certainly take care of them now. I can't hear you, Sprite. You're muted. I can hear you now. Which it's a great time to go ahead and do those. You should be doing those projections right now. Fantastic time getting ready for the holiday season. You're getting ready to place a holiday order. Well, do you want to bring these in? Plug the numbers into the profit and loss sheet. See where that's going to put you. Is that going to give you money to afford to bring in additional labor to produce this stuff? All hands on deck at Christmas time, I'm sure. But again, you got to make time to do these things. And in order to make time to do them is to bring in the right people, let them do it, and figure out a way to pay them. And you can't do that if you're stuck in there pressing Christmas ornaments.
David is distracting me. Sorry guys, my mic was off. From the echo this in the beginning. David has just walked in and completely made me lose. I wasn't even listening, Jeff. I'm sorry. You know how it goes. But definitely, everybody, reach out to your sales reps. Like Jeff said, it is a fantastic time to get all of that together. Getting ready for a really, really big season coming up, the most profitable season in this industry. So, reach out to your reps, get that pricing spreadsheet, get the profit and loss sheet from Jeff. And thank you so very much, Jeff. I did have somebody ask what is the best way to find a mentor.
Join the chamber for one. You join the Chamber of Commerce, you're surrounded by other business owners, and there's always mixers in your town. Usually once a month, and our chamber is like $200 a month, or no, I'm sorry, maybe $250 a year. And they're going to be there, and that's what they're there for. They're there to talk. So you kind of target in on somebody, and then you jump on them at the mixer, hand them a drink, whatever. Hey, I wanted to ask you a few questions. I got really lucky with Panini Pete. He's a great customer. Like I said, he owns multiple restaurants. We've furnished all of them with decor and gifts and things like that. And just a great guy and a solid business owner that I can call any time of day, ask any question, and get really solid answers because he's been there. He's been through the franchise game. He's been through employee problems. He's been through hurricanes. He's been through, he's going through the COVID thing. He's constantly pivoting and moving. And most importantly, he's staying successful and humble, very humble guy. To be as successful as he is, I could text him right now, ask him, hey man, do you think I should do this? He'll give me a great answer. But I would recommend places like the chamber, any sort of business type function, or even, just ask. A lot of people love to mentor people. I know a lot of companies have, that's part of the curriculum. I think, Finch's the insurance agent he's at, they have a mentor program there. But that's something, that's key. It's really key. It has helped me tremendously and didn't cost me a dime. It cost me lunch every now and then.
Well, it's pretty good lunch, especially at his restaurants. Logan asks if there's any way you could touch back on exactly how one can go about obtaining the actual LLC.
I'll break that entire thing down. So the LLC is simply, you'd be shocked to see that it is only about 4 pieces of paper. They were drafted by my attorney. Any business attorney will do it. I recommend doing that. They say an LLC will cost you about $1,000, and I think even with the online legal Zoom type things, it is $1,000. It was $400. I paid him $1,200 for 3 of them. There are 4 pages in it that essentially just says, they read, Jeff Butler has formed an LLC and it is called Blue Elizabeth LLC. That's my daughter's name. That's our blanket LLC. He will conduct business in Alabama, yada, 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 on this day. And then it's signed by the attorney and it is recorded with the state of Alabama. There is a $100 recording fee that goes with that. So at the end of the day, it was $500. If you're just simply LLCing one company, $500 is what I paid. And I would think that's a pretty good ballpark number. An additional part of the LLC that your attorney can provide, or that is supposed to come with it, is what's called a operating agreement. So your operating agreement may simply be, hey, Tom owns this business 100% and it's his and that's it. If you have a partner, you say you're going to go in partnership with your brother, it may say Tom has 50%, Brian has 50%, and they make up 100% of this LLC. That is your operating agreement. It's just another little document that just says how you're structured. And it's extremely simple and really kind of informal. But I will tell you, if you go, it is something that the bank is going to ask you to see if you go to them to borrow money. You go to get a business loan and you're an LLC, They're going to want to see your LLC paperwork that you're registered with the state, and they're going to want to see that operating agreement because they want to know who all is involved in that LLC, because it will be spelled out, and so, make sure you ain't got no bad guys on your LLC and you'll be good to go, or whatever, but that's something they're going to want to see. But it is a very simple process. It took him less than a week to prepare all three of them. I signed all three. They were recorded with the state. I was done. And then on to the FEIN, which took a day. And coincidentally, my banker took care of all three of the EIN numbers for me, just as a favor. She did them while we were sitting in the office. The next day she called me, hey, they were all done. The accounts were set up. And that is the beauty of having that business bank relationship. I don't have a lot of money in the bank. I'm not buying a vacation home. I'm just a little small business. I sell used furniture and gifts. At the end of the day, that's what I do. But they treat me like I'm the head of Chevrolet when I walk in the bank, because I'm good to them. I'm polite, I'm cool, whatever. I'm a good customer, and I utilize them when they ask me if there's something that they can do for me. I tell them, yeah, hey, could you do this? And they do it. They wouldn't be doing that for me on a personal bank account. But they see that I'm trying to be serious with the way that I'm structuring the business, and they take that very seriously, because, hey, a year from now, I might be buying a vacation home and be making bukus of money. So that's kind of how that works. You're muted again. Hold on. Hi.
I keep getting a weird feedback every time I unmute. Susie wants to know if you'll be her mentor. But I did have a question.
I've already made all the mistakes. Hey, I've made some dumb ones. I mean, you remember the flea market out there? There was no problem with what we were doing. It was just that we weren't running it I wasn't running it as a business. It was one of those things we were running out there, and we were looking at two things. We did $1,500 in sales this week, and it cost us $900 to do that. We made $600 profit, woohoo! And that's not the case, because when you figured in gas, rent, paper, time, all those other things, we were losing money every week right there at the end when the sales fell off. And so, it's being blind to, you have those three charts of accounts. You've got your revenue, your cost of goods, and your expenses. We always eliminate the expenses. We don't want to look at the expenses. That's the ugly rock we don't want to look under, because that's where the rubber meets the road. If you're just simply looking at your sales and your profit, man, you are you're in dangerous territory. You've got to lift that other rock and look at those expenses, because we might be doing $20,000 a month in one of our stores, and the profit might be $11,000 in profit. But if we're running $8,900 in expenses, man, that's bad. And so, there's two ways to make money in business: sell more, lower costs. If you're looking at that profit and loss sheet, you got three different charts of accounts to look at. You can look at your revenue and say, okay, how can I grow my revenue? How can I lower the cost of goods? And how can I lower my expenses? So now you're lowering these two things and you're raising this thing, and it might just be a little bit. You might eliminate this water cooler or whatever it is over here as an expense. You might renegotiate a rate, or you might start buying case quantities of a certain product and getting a better price break. And then you might throw a flyer out there. Now you've done three different things. You've lowered two costs and you've raised revenue. That's a win-win-win. But you never would have known to do that had you not put the numbers in and actually studied them. And speaking of studying the numbers, a lot of business advisors or schools or whatever tell you, you should be looking at your profit and loss sheet every quarter. I think that's foolish. You should, if you look at your profit and loss statement every quarter, you only have 4 opportunities to shift the direction of your business. If you look at that profit and loss statement every month, you've got 12 opportunities to shift the direction of your business. You can catch something way before it works over into, you may have a problem in the first month of the first quarter, but by the end of the quarter, man, it's out of control. You could have fixed that in month 2 had you reviewed that profit and loss statement every month. So that's another big thing to really, I look at it every day. It's the first thing I look at. I look at, plug the previous day's numbers in, and I look at it every single day and try and figure out, okay, where can I get more revenue, lower my cost of sales, and lower my expenses, or is everything hunky-dory?
All right, Jeff. I think that's about it.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I wish you the best of luck. And please learn from Jeff's mistakes and structure your business properly. Get out of the garage, man, and get out there and be a business owner. Take it seriously. Take it to the next level. You can make a ton of money in this business by pulling in a lot of different revenue streams, a lot of different products, a lot of different techniques. You can do this, but you got to take it seriously. You got to step out of that comfort zone and get these documents filed, structure your business, and then it's over with. It's done. You don't have to deal with that anymore, and you can wake up every day knowing that you are a legitimate business and everything's cool, and now you can focus on checking on things. So that's all I got. Thank you all for tuning in.
All right, Jeff. Thanks.